All right. Welcome to
Thank
episode
you.
10 of the Ruck'n Rise podcast. So, 10 episodes in 6 months. We were just discussing that a few minutes ago. A little bit of a minor milestone, maybe. Yeah, pretty cool. And for our 10th episode, is Kendra.
The other part,
The
the
other-
other half,
The technical.
the
The
tech
technical
side.
side of things.
Yeah, you make it all happen because we are clueless.
No, you're not. You're doing really good, actually.
Yeah, well, we're
You
having
guys
a lot of
are
fun.
flying solo, and I'm in a separate location, and you're in a separate location.
That's
so.
true. And I came down and got it all set up, and usually Dave does, and I got it all no problem. And then he came down after to inspect my work.
I did. I'm not gonna lie. I came down to just to check on things to see and the setup, and you know what? It was good to go. So yeah, I have full faith in Allie.
Yeah,
From here on out.
well, wow. Okay, well, we've learned a lot, and we're happy to be here, and just thought we'd get to know Kendra a little bit more.
Kendra Talsma.
Yeah. Kendra
Yeah.
knows
Hi.
us, but yeah, hi. So,
Hi.
Kendra, do you want to tell everybody like a little bit about your background and who you are and where you come from?
Yeah, well, I by trade, I went to school. I'm a graphic designer, and I've done web developing as well. I currently work in digital printing. Have been a dog walker, and now I'm doing some podcasting. Yeah.
Amazing. So you have a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. That's a hard word. That's a really hard word to
Entrepreneurial. Got it.
You know what I'm trying to say. Everybody knows.
I got what it's saying.
You do. Yeah. So that's awesome. And we've been friends for about 10 years. We were just talking about how long ago it was. It's been about 10 years since we've been friends. We've seen each other through lots of up and downs, like your son being born, Josh's adoption, marriage, divorce, marriage again, moving, all the big kind of life things, and therefore all the fun little things too. So it's pretty cool that we've remained friends through all this. We had our dog walking business together, remained friends even when we decided that it was time for me to take over the business and you focus on something else. And now here we are connected again in a new kind of adventure. I won't call it a business, but a new adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And even through
we've definitely.
Sorry, go ahead, Kendra.
No, it's just we've definitely done a lot, and had a lot of experiences together with the business and personal. So yeah, it's great to be here.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, even with the dog business that you took on, Kendra was still a part of that because all your graphic design stuff was run through Kendra, with your logo and all that stuff. Right? So.
Yeah, she understands how my brain works. I tell her what I'm looking for, which to anybody else would probably make no sense. And Kendra just understands my random point form ideas, and she puts it together and spits it back to me. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Thank you. So we I think because we know each other on a personal level too, it probably makes it easier for her to understand the inner workings of her brain. And she's very good. She's very good at her job too. So, I mean, it's just like a win-win. So when we were looking for somebody to help us with the tech side, you were the one and only name that came to mind. And I randomly out of the blue was like, hey, do you want to help me with this podcast thing that we want to do? And you jumped right on board.
Yeah. I mean, I was on mat leave, so, didn't have anything to do. Kidding. Totally kidding.
I mean, raising a human
and all of
that,
but I was like, no, this sounds like fun. Sure, why not?
Yeah, what a fun time. So do you want to take us back? Because one thing I did want to kind of touch on is, on a more serious note, just the kind of differences between giving and receiving support. We were kind of saying in the green room how I personally find it easier and I prefer to give support. If somebody's going through a hard time, I like to reach out. What can I do? How can I help? That kind of thing. Whereas receiving support, so if I'm having a hard time, I'm okay to admit I'm having a hard time, but actually letting somebody help me, I really, really struggle with. And I think part of that is being a mom and just kind of wanting to take care of everything and do everything, and being vulnerable in that way is difficult to kind of let your guard down and let somebody really in. What are your kind of thoughts in this? Because I know you have a kind of a unique experience that you've been through in the last few years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to receive help or support, I think personally. I mean, I find it hard. I think a lot of people do. I think it's just natural. Maybe. I'm not sure. For me,
Mhm.
it's not natural to like be willing to receive support, I suppose. It's definitely easier to give it and to be in a more caretaking position, I suppose, than it is to receive. Um, yeah, it's mm, sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
no, that makes sense too. And do you mind sharing a little bit how you have been the supporter
Sure.
after
Yeah.
and through Josh's accident and stuff like that, and how that was maybe even challenging, even though you were the supporting one? I'm sure it had its, well, I know it had a ton of challenges, just the stress of the whole situation. But how did you deal with that on like a just even a day to day level? But if you want to kind of in your own
Yeah, I'll give
words,
background on it.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. So, I guess 5 years ago, this summer, this August or September long weekend, my husband was in a motorcycle accident. It was very serious. He broke almost every bone on the right side of his body, uh, his neck, ribs, collarbone. His injuries were very serious, and it took a long time, a very long time to heal. Um, I think the whole healing process probably took 2 solid years at least. I mean, and there's still permanent repercussions from 'em, from the accident that we do deal with daily. So, um, yeah, I mean, just being forced, I was forced into a caretaker position. You go from being a partner and a spouse, and then you're looking after everything because somebody, they can't. They're in the hospital, they're in a hospital bed, and they're not able to do anything really for themselves at that point. Um, so you're doing a lot more, and I guess it's just naturally, you're just naturally put in that position. So when people ask, what can you do when you're in shock? And you're like, I don't know, but thank you, right? Like this all sounds great. So people say, how can I help you? Or, if you need anything, let me know. And I just never really reached out to a lot of those people just because like it was foreign to me to ask them for something, even though I probably could have used a lot of help. Um, I mean, at the time, honestly, Ellie, you were a big help to me. And I think I probably asked you a lot of things.
But
Like
I
for the
also,
dogs.
yeah, I mean, we had the luxury of being neighbors as well, so it was easy for me
Yeah.
to come over, and I wanted to help,
Yeah.
and the dogs knew me really well too, so it was it was no problem to be able to do that, especially in that really, really early days when you maybe didn't even know yet what you needed, because every day, like those first couple
Yeah.
weeks, it was like you were in Toronto at the hospital with them, so it was just sort of
Yeah.
maintaining your place and your animals and stuff, and just that was like the most basic thing I could do. Happy to do it, would do it again in a heartbeat. Hope I never have to. But like,
Right.
so the early days it was shocking, and it's scary because you
Yep.
didn't know what was the outcome was really going to be and how much lasting effects would be with Josh. And I'm glad to say now he's doing amazing
He
after
is
5
doing
years of
amazing.
working really hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, do you want to kind of say
Yeah.
what like maybe skip ahead a little bit and give some background on what he's up to these days, if he's okay with
Sure.
you sharing? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was told basically with his injuries, he had a very broken leg and it required a lot of reconstruction, that he wouldn't be able to return to work. Basically, that his whole life would change. And he worked very hard physiotherapy and just in general doing life, right? Because everything is tough when you're getting back to normal. He did some schooling and he was able to go back to work, which nobody thought that he would. Generally, people in his position don't. So it's a huge accomplishment that he was able to do that. Now he's actually back in school and working as well and pursuing additional goals. So that's awesome. So that's kind of where we're at right now, or he's at right now, I should say, but also we, because, you know.
Well, you
It's
right.
a team. It's
Yeah,
a team.
exactly. You were
Yeah,
there every
it is
step
a
of,
team.
you were there every step of the way, cheering him on, supporting him, random
Yeah,
doctor
yeah.
visits and insurance and all the things, right? All those extra things that can be really stressful to navigate your way through, on top of just the
Yeah.
day-to-day, you know, pain and stuff that he would have been in and probably still is to some degree, I
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely has growing
And
pains.
yeah, while he was doing that, all that, he just celebrated his 5th year of being sober as well.
Yes, he did,
Yeah.
which is a huge accomplishment. Yeah.
It's
So we
it's amazing.
just had a little celebration for all of that. Actually, it was a week or two ago. So that was really nice. And we also have a son now who is almost a year and a half. And so that's a huge accomplishment as well for us. Just, I mean, we didn't know if we were even going to be able to have a family, and the whole accident just kind of threw a whole wrench into all of that, right? Like plans were just put on hold. So that was exciting, and we were able to bring him to the celebration, and it was just a really nice evening. So
Yeah, it's amazing. Actually, I remember I was in our gym working out when you text me a picture of your ultrasound, and it was right before Christmas, I think it was right before Christmas. And I don't like talking on the phone, but I was so excited. I called you, and you're like, I think you were at like a family function, but I was so fired up and so excited that you guys were pregnant, because I knew it was something you had kind of been thinking about, and then life kind of threw this big thing at you, and then all of a sudden, here you go. There was a little baby.
We kept it a secret for a little while, and then he ended up texting somebody that we both know, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want Allie to find out without me telling her. So then I shot a text out, and then I was like, I really can't talk right now, but I really want to tell you.
I know, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
I came running upstairs, Dave. I'm like, Kendra and Josh are pregnant, yay! And now, especially when you were on mat leave and we were kind of getting things set up for the podcast and stuff, I was getting to come over like once or twice a week and hang out with them, and he's just growing and he's doing amazing. He looks exactly like Josh for the most part.
He really does.
He's so adorable. And and our Joshy likes hanging out with him and spending time with him and doing stuff, especially as Spencer kind of gets a little more, interactive and into that toddler phase. Josh is all about helping out with that kind of thing. We had our friends have a little guy who's 2.5. We had him over for dinner a couple weeks ago because they also just had a new baby, and so they just needed a little bit of help with the toddler. I said, why don't you bring like the toddler over? We'll have him over for dinner. And Josh the whole time said, I'm going to pretend he's my baby brother. And he was like playing with them, bringing them all his trucks. They had a great time, even though there's, 2 years old and then, or 2.5 and then 7. I mean, Josh didn't care. He was happy to have a little playmate for a couple hours, and it helped out that family, and it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah.
He's so good with the younger kids.
He is. I think it's easier for him to be a little bit younger.
Yeah, I think it's good for him too to have the responsibility role sometimes of a big brother, and to kind of have him understand that other people smaller than him need to be taken care of as well, and he can fulfill that role, so he can kind of get a glimpse of maybe what we do sometimes.
Because he did say like, oh, this is a lot of work. I'm like, yeah, it is, isn't it? And
hilarious.
He sometimes asks if he is going to be a big brother, and I say, no, you're not, but you're it for us. We are complete. Our family's complete with Landers and Josh, and we're good to go. So he can.
Well, he can come play with Spencer anytime.
Exactly. Yeah, he appreciates having little friends in his life for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So lots of like ups and downs over the last 5 years, I think. But I mean, kudos to you guys for. You had a curveball thrown at you out of the blue, and you guys have really overcome quite a lot in 5 years. And yeah, I know Josh as well. I met Josh through the clinic at the university, Trend Health and Motion. Come in for some treatment for myself, and actually I met Josh before I met you, Kendra, and
Yeah.
and to see the progress in Josh, not just a physical point of view, but also just the mental health point of view, and the mental strength and resilience that came with that has been, like I would say, and you probably would agree, and anyone around him would agree, has been probably leaps and bounds from that year one to where you guys are now, and it's awesome to see where Josh is, and back to work and at school and just hammering out goals, and it's inspiring. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a whirlwind. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years. Like, honestly, when I think about it, it feels like just yesterday that all of this happened. But 5 years has gone fast. I think you're just so busy and you're just in the thick of it that you just don't have time to stop and think about it, right? So then you come out the other end and things are good.
Yeah. When you were in the kind of thick of it, did you ever seek out any counseling or therapy or any type of thing like that for yourself? Because in that kind of supporting role, it would be probably hard to even take time to do stuff for yourself. So did you have a chance to do anything like that, whether it was in a professional way or just through friends or different groups or something like that?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we kind of had, we had a heavy plate. I mean, we had all of the physical and emotional repercussions of the motorcycle accident. Um, Plus, then on top, we were also dealing with addiction in our house, um, which is a whole nother topic. And together, it was a lot. So yeah, I mean, I tried counseling the first time. It wasn't a good fit. Me and the counselor, we just kind of sat there and it was like crickets. And I don't know if it was me or if it was her, but like we just didn't have a good like communication, I guess, together because it was just awkward. I found it really awkward. And maybe because it was my first time going to counseling. I'm not sure, but it just didn't really work for me. And I thought, okay, well that that's not for me. Um, and then I tried going to Al-Anon, just because, it's there and you're supposed to go. Um, Actually, I read a book prior to that called Codependent No More, and it was very helpful for me because it highlighted a lot of behaviors and things that I was doing in my life that I didn't think were problematic, which apparently are. So it kind of nudged me in that direction. So I went to Al-Anon because it was available. I knew nothing about it other than it was for, people who are have alcoholics or addicts in their life. And I found a group of people there. I had to go to a couple groups though. They all have a different vibe, and they're not necessarily the right fit, right? Like, because different people get different things from chatting with different people. So um, I found a group that I really liked, and I haven't been in a while just because, babies, but I found a group that I really like, and they're a solid group of people, and you can talk to them about anything, and that's awesome. So that was a really good avenue to have. I wasn't consistent with it though the first year when Josh had his motorcycle accident. I mean, part of that was just logistics. It was just hard sometimes to do that and take that time for yourself and go. And I listened to a lot of podcasts and a lot of talks online, various topics, just to get my mindset right. And I did end up circling back around to counseling because as great as Al-Anon was, I was finding there was just some gaps. It wasn't filling for me. So I did end up reaching out to another counselor, and she was a great fit. She helped me with a lot of stuff, I guess. I don't know. It was just general conversation. It was just easy to talk to her. So I guess the first time I wasn't ready, or it wasn't the right fit. I'm not sure. And Josh and I also did counseling together as well, just because we had been through quite a bit. So yeah, there's different avenues there that I utilized for sure.
Yeah. No, I think that's really smart because just going back to what you've said at your very first one with the counselor, you said it was like crickets. It was probably just you guys
Yeah,
weren't meshing together. I don't think it was that you weren't ready or anything like that. Because well, in my opinion, the fact that you showed up shows that you are ready. But if you're not
right.
vibing, like I don't know if vibing is the right word, but like the energy, like if you're not meshing with that person, it's probably not
Hmm.
going to be that beneficial, right? So yeah, you
Yeah.
were smart to maybe just that wasn't the person for you and you tried out a couple different things. And I think it's smart that you did a couple different, like sometimes it was a group setting and then you went back for some
Hmm.
one-on-one and then you and Josh together because there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle that you're kind of trying to work
Yeah.
through and kind of hit it because it's not a one size fits all thing. It's not like a magical recipe.
No.
You go to therapy for 10 sessions with the same person and all of a sudden all your issues are worked through. It is kind of an ebb and flow thing. I'm finding that
Yeah.
for myself now. Like I've been to therapy before and then I had a quite a long break and now I'm about to be starting again in December. I've got my appointment now. I think I'm going to mesh with her, but I don't know. We've just spoken on the phone so far, but I'm going to
Hmm.
I prefer in person for that. So I'm
Yes.
looking
Yeah.
forward, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it because I got some new things I'd like to kind of work through and
Yeah.
open up.
Yeah. And
And
I
I'm
just,
yeah,
yeah, I just want to say, and like all of this is not something that I just jumped into and started doing, right? It was just, oh, I should do this. So then I tried one and then that didn't work. And then I would like, put it on the back burner for a while and then I
mhm,
would try something else. So, I mean, it wasn't like the first year it was that all this happened and then, oh my God, I need therapy. It was definitely over the duration of 5 years for sure.
yeah, yeah,
It's not something that just happened like and was like, okay, well, I need to do this in my life.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And yeah, like you and Josh too going together, I think that's really good because for a while it's kind of like you were such the caregiver because you had to be because the situation made
mhm,
it like that. So going to therapy to kind of work that out and kind of get back to who you guys were as husband and wife kind
mhm.
of thing. And if you needed a third party to help you navigate that, I think that's great. And I'm sure like your communication skills with each other now are probably amazing because you guys have literally gone through something horrendous and that would honestly I think break a lot of couples up like big life events like that you're either like stick together you get closer or it's like it tears a big hole
Yeah.
between the people so kudos to you
Yeah.
guys for sticking with it and doing all the hard things.
Yeah, and it was hard. I mean, then that's for sure, right? Because there was a period of time where Josh, I don't want to say patient because that's not right. But he wasn't capable of doing a lot around the house in general, whether it was, even just shoveling the snow out at the front or even preparing a meal for himself. Like there was a lot on my plate. So yeah, I went from looking after him, um, and it wasn't just like we ended up getting a PSW and stuff like that eventually,
Hmm.
which was a great relief. But in the beginning, when we didn't know that we had access to certain things, it was all on me until we figured some of that out. And then we could kind of poke the insurance company and be like, "Hey, you need to help us."
Hmm.
And then we started getting a lot of the support, and Josh got a lot of supports that he needed in place after that. So that was really good because that took a lot of the burden away just to put the proper help in place, right? Like it's all about getting the right people to support you, whether it's a counselor or an occupational therapist or a physiotherapist or a massage therapist or I think he had a PSW. He also had someone come help him like organize his day and, refigure things out that way. So instead of me having, what appointments do you have tomorrow? What's going on this week? And reminding him of those things because he has a head injury, so his memory is not great. Relearning some of those skills, right? So it took a lot of the burden off me having the proper supports in place.
Hmm. Definitely. And did you find that you had to advocate a lot for all those things? Like it wasn't necessarily made super obvious to you that you had access to all these extra things? Did you have to, I don't want to say push, but do you had to kind of be like the squeaky wheel? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. if anybody has been in the position or is in a position where they've been in an accident and there's insurance involved, you have to know what, and maybe not every insurance company, I don't want to make them sound evil, but you have to know what you're entitled to and what you should be asking for. Just an example of that, we asked if someone could help around our house, and we were told that cleaning wasn't covered, but little did we know that a PSW was covered. And they do various things that are incredibly helpful, but that wasn't offered up as information to us. We did end up seeking legal advice. There goes the cat.
I know, that's why I'm not smiling at you. I'm smiling because the cat, and Harley's literally sitting on the ground, like low growling at me because she wants to sit on my lap. I think that's what she wants, but it's like too awkward for her to jump up here, I guess. I don't know what she's doing.
So sorry. Anyway,
yes, sorry, she's distracting.
We did end up seeking some legal counsel, which helped us greatly, and we got an amazing occupational therapist who kind of was the main contact and helped put all the other contacts. I mean, we had a couple of people in place already, like Trent Health and Motion was there from the get-go for us. And then we had all these other additional supports that she was able to line up, and she was amazing at her job, and she still is. I think she might be retired now, but she was a great support to Josh and myself. So that was amazing to have her.
That's awesome. And was she someone you found like through the insurance, or she was your legal, or she was the occupational therapist who then
occupational therapist. So our lawyer ended up aligning us with her. We had one through the insurance company. I hate to say, but she fell very short and she left us high and dry, actually, and navigating surgeries by ourselves and things that you shouldn't be navigating alone. And then after that, it was kind of not funny, but fate, I suppose. His appointments were in Toronto, so we had a driver that was able to take him back and forth to his appointment. So I would go because they were very early in the morning. And one of the cab drivers had been in a similar situation, and was like, here's some names. You need to call these people because you need more help in your life. And they got us kind of started on that. And once that train started rolling, it got so much better because, they were able to align us with with Josh's occupational therapist. And, she was able to line up counselors and things like that and all the other supports. She knows the best people to call. And everybody was just so helpful that she put in place for him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's all about talking to people and seeing who can help you and who knows or who's been through it before. Because it seems to me like there's just a big gap. It's like there is all these different avenues for therapy and things like that, and counseling and mental health clinicians and stuff. But it seems like there's still a gap because when you Google it, it's like there's so much, which is great. But also when you're struggling mentally, it can be really hard to even do the research to find, like, to go through them and call them or email. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it, and I wonder if that stops some people who are struggling because it's like,
it can be very overwhelming.
Yes. And it's like, if you're really, really in a dark spot, it's sitting down in front of the computer and calling a couple people. You just might not be like really able to do that mentally if you're really, really struggling. So I don't know what the solution is. It's just something I've been thinking about over the last couple days.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and you were, again, good on you, Kendra, for, not meshing initially with counselor, but then pursued and went other avenues and other directions and found the right fit. Because I know a lot of individuals, sort of struggling, whether it's physical challenge or mental health challenges, and they reach out to a certain avenue that is supposed to be the sort of the go-to place or go-to phone number, and it doesn't work out, and they get frustrated, and then they shut down, and that's it. They don't try to, find another path or another avenue, and not to their fault at all, because they were given information about a particular system or a particular avenue to go down, and it didn't work out, and that's that's probably exhausted them at that time of their capacity of what they can take on, and so then they've shut down and they haven't been able to go further, because they're just too exhausted, and mentally don't have it to try and find other pathways. So I do know others that it's turned them off, and it shut them down from going those routes. So
Well, I mean, and it's hard, even for me. It was something that I never considered, never thought that I would even entertain the idea of going to counseling or to a group, Al-Anon session, to speak in front of, like, and I mean, my Al-Anon groups were small, and some of them aren't, depending on where you are. But even to talk in front of people, um, seemed like such a foreign thing to me. It was just bizarre. So when I did reach out to that counselor and it didn't work, I was like, okay, well, now what, right? Like, it feels defeating, and then you're like, well, where do I turn to now? Because that's what you're supposed to do, and that didn't work out. And then, like I said, I went to Al-Anon, and that was probably the most awkward thing. One of the other most awkward things that I've done is walk in, and like, everyone's like wonderful, right? And they're like, hi, nice to meet you, and they want to just chat with you and be there for you. And it's such a welcoming atmosphere. I don't know if you've ever been to any type of group. It's not even counseling. It's just like sitting and chatting. I mean, there is a format that's followed, but it doesn't have to be. It's about you, but it's not about you. It's about everybody in the room. So it kind of takes the pressure off you, per se, but you can also really identify with other people that are going through the similar situation. And generally you can identify with somebody in a group session on something, right? So talking to people, even just us, like one-on-one or whatever, in a small group, you're going to pick something up from somebody and learn something from them. So, I mean, as awkward as it was walking through those doors, I could sit and listen. Even I didn't have to contribute, I didn't have to talk, but I could just sit and listen to everybody else and take what I wanted and go home at the end of it. And then that was fine for me too, right? So there's different avenues to find help for mental health.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I haven't been to any kind of formal grief counseling yet, but there is a group option, and I'm very sort of interested to go, because I think it takes the pressure off a little bit. Like, I've done one-on-one, and that's what I'm going to be doing in December, is one-on-one, which I'm looking forward to, and I think there's value in that too. But I'm also curious about the group setting, because if you, like you said, if you don't feel like sharing that day, or it's just too much, but you just want to go and sit and listen and feel supported with other people who are going through something very similar, I think there's a lot of power in that. So I'm glad you kind of pointed out, because you've experienced kind of both different settings. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and there's benefits to both, right? Like, what I wasn't getting at one, I was getting at the other. So because some things you just weren't going to bring up in a group setting, and some things that you talked about maybe with your counselor weren't received the same way that somebody that's been through the same situation as you would receive it or be able to identify with, right? So and if you want to go to a group one, I would be happy to go with you if it would make it easier.
Oh, yes, that would make it easier.
I know how hard it is to walk through those doors for the first time.
Yeah. Hospice here in Peterborough has a lot of, from what I can understand, a lot of really great grief counseling stuff. And they also do a podcast, and I think it's called What's Next, all about grief. And I've listened to a couple. It's really well done. I really recommend it. I've only listened to a couple episodes, because they're very, they make me super emotional, which is good. And because I'm kind of going through all that kind of thing right now. So I kind of do like maybe one a month, and usually for the rest of that day, I'm mentally just exhausted, because but you got to have
Yeah.
time and make the space for that. So I love too that that there are those options too. So if you don't want to go to counseling, you're not ready, or it's just not an option for you, there's tons. I mean, there's so many different podcasts on so many different things. So
Yeah.
no matter what
Yeah.
you're kind of looking for, or if you want to just have a couple good laughs, like there's a lot of hilarious podcasts too. So I love that it is just opened the door for so many different things, and you can kind of do your own healing and your own work at your own pace as well, which
Yeah.
is just amazing, the world that
And
we live in.
there's a lot of the times, for like a group setting, regardless of the type of group that it is, there's a lot of speaker meetings, I suppose, or speaker things online that you like, recordings that you can find online. And those were a huge help to me as well, because I would listen to speakers, someone just tell their story. It wasn't necessarily a podcast, it's just their story.
Mhm.
And then you can listen and hear, you know, how they've changed things or whatever has worked for them too. So there are those avenues. So if you're not comfortable reaching out or sitting in a group or even talking to a counselor, you can find those options.
Yeah, there's tons of different things. There was a kitty. Amazing.
Yeah.
I was looking to circle back, or wondering if we could circle back to. So,
Yeah.
Kendra, you mentioned those initial, probably first few weeks, months, whatever. I mean, Josh, was physically unable to do much around the house. Yard work, driveway shoveling, all those sort of things, and I can only imagine, as coming from a male perspective. I mean, we like to take care of the house, and we like to take care of the family members in our house, and I'm certain that it's no different for you guys with than Ali and I. We work together as a team, so I mean, we share a lot of the housework and the chores and responsibilities and things like that. And so I can only imagine. I was just sort of thinking as we were talking, and when you brought that up about Josh being unable to do any of those things, just how taxing that would have been on him mentally while he's trying to physically heal his physical injuries. There would have been a lot on his plate, just even trying to process that mentally. Well, I can't do these simple tasks or even help out my wife. So it must have been fairly exhausting for him in the mental capacity as well. Now, so how far into things was it that Josh was trying to seek help for himself or for the two of you into that journey?
Uh, well, he started early for um, alcohol and addictions. Like
Mhm.
prior to his motorcycle accident, he was already working on recovery for that. So that was great to have those supports in place prior to any of this happening, because all of those people are amazing. So many people came to see him at the hospital and stop by our house. They were, I mean, they still are just wonderful. Um, it was hard though off the get go, like after that accident, he doesn't even remember probably the first month of being in the hospital. He was in the hospital for a month and a half, I think. Went in the first weekend of September and came home Thanksgiving. So however long that is, but it's long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and even after that, right? Because medications and things like that, he doesn't remember the first while. And even being at home was questionable for him, because moving around the house, we had to set up a whole separate room for him. We had to put a rolling chair in our bathroom so we could get to the toilet. He had so many aids in the house. Like I had to redo my kitchen for his wheelchair. So to go from being a very able-bodied person, and we were
Mhm.
always very active. Our background, like how we met through mixed martial arts, kickboxing, MMA, jujitsu. Like we used to cage fight and all the things that are fun and active. And so yeah, I mean, and we weren't doing that at that time, but we had a very active lifestyle. We would go hiking and camping and stuff. So it was a big shock to not be able to do any of that, really, right? Like I remember there was days where he couldn't get his lunch because he wanted to watch TV and eat lunch at the same time, and he couldn't even get his lunch to the table because he'd have to carry it, and he couldn't because he was on crutches or in his wheelchair, and our kitchen's small, so it was just all very awkward. So we set up like a little bag on his crutches that he could put containers into and take places so he could go and be comfortable and do stuff. So you find workarounds, but um, it's a big shock not being able to do things the way that you're used to being able to do, or even having someone in the house do stuff that you're used to them doing. He plows the driveway or he would do the driveway, I suppose. I don't even remember how we used to do the driveway, honestly, before that. I think we had a snowblower, but that just wasn't an option.
Mhm. Right.
So we ended up buying like a little secondhand four-wheeler with a plow on it. So that was something that he could do because he could drive. So he would go around the neighborhood actually and plow everybody's driveways. It was something to do.
And that's the kind of guy he is.
And and everybody loves that, right? It's a nice, like, it's such a
Yeah.
sweet little neighborhood and everybody helps each other out.
Mhm.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't know if I
funny.
answered your question, Dave, but
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you did. It's funny you mentioned the crutches, because it brought me back to memories being in the clinic, and when Josh was slowly eliminating the necessity of the crutches, and what a big milestone that was. And then,
yeah.
so to celebrate that milestone, and then just all the other wins and milestones along the way. It's interesting to look back on as you kind of go through the history and the story behind it. Like I was able to be in the clinic and see some of those milestones and see some of that happen. And Josh from the get-go, from like, as soon as he came in the clinic, he always had a winning attitude. He always had the drive and always was willing to go to the next step to make sure that he was going to get as much of his life back to normalcy as he possibly could. And 5 years down the road, here we are, and again we'll go back to now he's back to work, and he's in school furthering his education, and he's a father, and back doing things around the house and doing a lot of things he wants to do and loves to do. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see all those milestones that have been achieved. And I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at one point, those things were very questionable. Like, I don't even know, because it's been so long since I've thought about where we've really come from, right? 5 years ago to now. And I mean, the crutches, I'm not gonna lie, if I ever hear crutches in my hallway again, it's like an alarm clock. That noise,
Right.
you're like, "Oh my
I know
God."
the exact sound. Yeah.
He was on crutches for a year, I think, at least. Yeah. It was at least a year, or maybe just over a year straight, almost. Yeah. So that's
You guys,
crazy.
you guys can never sprain an ankle again and never have crutches at the house
No.
again.
No, we still have them in the closet, but and I actually have a funny story because our dog, he's not with us anymore, but our dog got used to that noise, and I was out in public walking him, and somebody got out of their car on crutches and was walking through the parking lot, and my dog perked up, and he was so excited, and he was like jazzed to go over there and like see the guy, and I couldn't figure out why, and then it clued into me that the crutch noise for him meant it was Josh.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's hilarious too, because Chester wasn't always like super into every single person. You had to kind of win him over a little bit. So you were probably like, why does Chester like this person so much? That's hilarious.
I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, it's because the guy's on crutches. And he's like, oh, my dad's on crutches. It must be my dad.
Oh, he's my people.
That's my person. That's my owner.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I have a little story going back. Well, not even a story. Yeah, I guess it's a little story. On a lighter note, when Dave said about how we are a team and we do things together. It's true. You know, we both cook, we both clean, we both shovel the driveway, we share the household chores. But if you really want to try to get out of doing the household chores, my new thing is saying, but Dave, can I just be a trophy wife today and just sit here and look pretty and do nothing? And it has yet to work, but it always gets a laugh. So I keep trying in the hopes that if I can get out of like doing something which I find annoying, like taking the garbage out, or what else?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it also works that she's so damn cute that I can't say no either.
So it works a little bit. Oh, I was trying to get out of going. You wanted to do some errands, which I don't really like doing, like going grocery shopping or something. And I was like, can I just stay home and be a trophy wife? And he was like, no, you definitely have to come and help me.
Yeah.
So you can try that too.
You can.
Yeah.
And you can also go the more aggressive. So it's funny. I had a reminder on my phone tonight for this episode, because I'll be honest, like I've been, and we were talking about this before we sort of went live or recorded on this. I've been in a bit of a funk lately, and just kind of down and a little in the blues, I guess. I don't know. And I can't quite put my finger on it really why. I'm just I'm feeling tired, and we talked about it as well that, you know, it's December. It's almost December, you know, and
it's basically
it's been a long year. Yeah, it's been a long year and a lot going on lately. And I made a comment to Allie last night, and just probably about, you know, being lazy or not, you know, not doing stuff or not being motivated or inspired to get myself in gear or whatever. And her quote back to me, and this is good, her quote back to me was, man up or sit on the couch and don't get better. And and it was brutal honesty, but it was good. And this is why, you know, we're the team that we are, because I need a kick in the ass sometimes. And that's exactly the kick in the ass that I need is, you know, yeah, either just man up and get after it, or don't get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to sound like I'm not compassionate, because I am, and I get it. Sometimes you just need to rest. It was more just like Dave was just kind of.
Oh, she's a hard ass.
Yeah, I am.
I know
like
I
see it.
her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's not
kidding,
cool
Allie,
everyone
I'm
here. Yeah.
I know, such a hard ass. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. But no, it's
sometimes you need to be soft and caring and all that kind of thing, and sometimes you need a swift kick in the ass.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
I'm
to you, like me to you. I mean, everybody needs something different in different situations, but yeah. And me too. Sometimes I need to be told, you know what? Just get on with it.
That's it.
Yeah. I think that applies to everybody. Everybody needs that a little bit in their life at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, with compassion, right?
Yeah, and depending on your relationship with the person, I wouldn't say that to somebody who I just met, because that can be offensive or hurt them, or if I don't know what's going on. Yeah, if you don't have any background or context on what the person has been going through, you can't. No. Well, I wouldn't want to just be a jerk to somebody, but with people who you trust and who you know, and you have the background and you kind of know what's going on, sometimes you just need, and sometimes you need to hear it like, oh yeah, I actually am okay today and I can do this. And I've been through hard things before, and we're going to get through this too. It might suck, but we're going to keep going forward. So I think there is some value to it.
I agree. I was just going to say the honesty, sometimes people need some raw honesty every once in a while, and a bit of a reality check that, you know what? Yeah. And a look in the mirror to kind of go, okay, you know, she just told me to man up and do better.
It's because we were complaining about rocking. He was complaining about rocking in the cold. That is why I said it.
Oh, I hope there's no one on the Army side that's listening to this episode.
Nobody listens. Well, some people do. I don't know. Are you mad that I said that?
No, it's good, because you're right. I'm not going to deny it. It is truth, and yeah. So there, I need to just take a look in the mirror and go like, hey, like I signed up for what I have chosen, and so yeah, you're right. Man up and get after it. That's all I can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just remembered what I was going to say is we were talking the other day about how we haven't had our first, like we've never really had a fight. And I'm just wondering if this is now going to be our first fight off air.
Probably not. Someone
I
at work.
need to stop recording.
No.
Someone at work brought that up to me yesterday morning. I went into work and I don't know, we got talking about, well, everyone asked me, how's married life? Everyone keeps asking me that. It's we got married in September and everyone keeps asking me, how's married life? And that's literally,
it's great.
Like, well, it's the exact same as before married life. Just wear rings and, but our lives are the exact same pretty much. And I made that comment to somebody. I said, it's easy. We have a very easy relationship when you have that openness, honesty, and trust, and all that stuff that meshes and goes together. It makes things really easy. And I said, I'll be honest. I said, we've never, since we've known each other, we've never had an argument or a fight. And my work colleague was like, come on, you must have had a fight. And I said, no, we never have. And then ironically, I think went home that night or like last night. And again, I was in a bit of a funk and I don't know, kind of grumpy, whatever. And I can't remember what we were talking about, but we almost, well, I'm not gonna say we almost had a fight, but
I don't even remember. No, so it couldn't have been that serious.
And we just joke about it and laugh it off. Really, like, are we gonna have our first fight? And then then we laugh. Yeah, sure, let's have it. But
that's awesome.
What a time. Yeah.
But
well, and that could be a line that just diffuses whatever situation, right? Like it takes you back to reality. Like, is this really something that we need to fight about or argue about or whatever, and put you in check? So
exactly.
Yeah. I think it comes with life experience as well and maturity. I mean,
especially
and you know this now, like once you become a parent, there's so much more in the world and in life that you can handle and manage and deal with. That just doesn't matter as much anymore. You don't get as stressed or worked up about it because you've been taking care of another human and you've been providing resources and everything for them, and so your patience level like increases tenfold as where you can agree. So everything else is just I find it it's so much easier to manage and deal with.
You need a lot of patience to live with me. That's what you're saying.
And parenting got me through that. Parenting prepared me for married life.
I've been told I'm later in life, and I feel like I mean it's a running joke. But I do feel like being the age that I'm at now, being a parent is so much easier than if I were younger.
Yeah.
So
because especially like you've built up so much resiliency because of all your life experience and all these things you've been through. So now you can pass that on to your child, but also it prepares you for having a child because it is the craziest roller coaster ever and you don't get to get off of it. You are there for life. So
I mean, I haven't slept for a year and a half, so nobody prepares.
And look at now you're a podcaster. You added podcasting to your life and dealing with me and Dave on a regular. So I feel bad for you.
No, it's good. It's good. But I can imagine being younger, and I think now too, have gone through whatever I've gone through or we've gone through. I can appreciate him more. Like I can appreciate what we're doing, even just our little family, just the three of us, or we get to go outside and just play in the snow and that's fun. Whereas before maybe I would have been like busier, I guess, maybe, or I don't know, because I can't say because I was never in that position, but I feel like I can appreciate it more now.
It's I find it so fascinating. Kids put a whole new reality check on life sometimes, and they really kind of ground you a lot. For me personally, like they make life simple at times because I've been able to I've watched Josh play with his trucks and cars or just play on the couch and kind of go, look at that. Like he's just playing with toys. That's his world right now. That's his focus, and that's what his direction is. And sometimes I just like enjoy watching him play with cars. Because I kind of go, man, like life is so simple right now in this moment. Because that's all he has to focus on, and that's all he's concentrating on, and it just kind of brings things into perspective sometimes. That what, hey, sometimes you got to just play, and I love getting down on the floor and playing the cars and trucks with him, because it brings me back, it grounds me, it levels me, and then kind of go, yeah, I'm just gonna play for a while with this kid who this is all his focus right now. This is all he's thinking about right now is like, what route is he going to drive this little truck on? He's not thinking about
like there's no
what bill does he
worries,
have to pay.
right?
That's it. What bill does he have to pay? He doesn't know.
Whatever moment they're in that moment fully, right?
Yeah.
They're fully present for in most of the time, depending on their age and stuff like that, which is a good reminder, because we're doing something, but we're thinking of the next thing that we have to move on to. So kind of practicing a couple times a day, if you can, just being in this moment. They were talking about that on the Third Perspective podcast. Actually, I listened to it today. About whatever you're doing, do it with some intention. Maybe not 100% of the time, but the examples that they were using was, if you're going to make breakfast and be there. Don't be making breakfast and doing 5 other things at the same time. Something I've been playing around with too is, okay, usually I only read at night or maybe in the morning with my coffee. Now I'm starting to read a little bit more in the afternoon for 20 minutes, because I used to think, oh, it's a waste of time, but it's not a waste of time if I need a little reset and I'm doing that. I'm just reading for those 20 minutes, and then I'm able to move on to the next thing with a little bit more energy, because I'm not feeling so stretched thin of just go, which makes my anxiety go higher. So just kind of knowing what works for you and playing around with it. And it's probably going to change too as you get older and things change and whatnot. So I think
I highly recommend playing with the kids at times. I think just like you say, being in the moment sometimes. Earlier this evening, I put up a video on my Facebook feed. It was a video of these school kids up on stage, and there was a dance, a song going on, and they were all, I'm pretty sure they were all just instructed to be up on stage and just dancing and having fun. And I loved it. But there's one particular kid who was like, he was into it. He was dancing like nobody's business.
No one's watching.
Like no one's watching for the whole video, and he is. And like Ali says, if you're gonna do something in that moment, like make sure you're in that moment. I'm telling you, you're gonna watch this video, because that kid he's in it. He's in that moment, and he is loving every minute of it, and it's super entertaining to watch. And I just thought, man, I love watching this kid, because he's just being free and feeling the music and being into it, and it's just great. Having a blast. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're coming up to the hour. Yeah, we are. I think I'm getting to the stage in my life where I need cheaters. I need some reading glasses. I'm always having to like look in or pull the thing out, or Dave shows me something that's close to my face, and I'm like, okay, so I think I'm like approaching the age of getting reading glasses, which I think I'll be able to really rock them.
Oh, you'll rock that with your shaved head.
Yeah, it'll be a real
glasses. Whole new alley.
It'll be a whole time, that's for sure.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah. So, this has been good. Get a little bit of background on Kendra, our other half of the Ruck'n Rise podcast, which is it's been real good.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts from you, Kendra?
Oh, now I'm on the spot. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
Good.
I don't know. Like, we were originally talking about getting help, receiving help, giving help. I don't know if I've explained any of giving or receiving or very well in the podcast, but I've definitely received a lot of help in the last 5 years in various forms. I've given a lot of help in various forms as well, uh, whether it is in my home, helping Josh, looking after my child, whatever, in a group meeting, talking about my experiences, whether it is getting help from a counselor or getting help at work or whatever. But there's different forms of giving. And I think just being open to receiving is just something that I think everybody needs to be a little more mindful of, because I think I don't know, maybe I'm out of context here, but I don't think people generally receive help well, right? Like you talked about it feeling awkward. Like, Dave, I don't know, do you find it awkward to get help from people?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm no different than the two of you. I would much sooner provide help or give help than ask or even admit that that I'm looking for help or need help.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It's hard to admit. So I think if you're just open to the idea of it, and I mean that's a start, right? And then asking maybe your close friends around you for help and then branching out from there. Yeah. I don't know. That's my thoughts.
No, I think that's great. I think it gives people some actions to take moving forward, and they get to know us a little bit better with each episode. So thank you so much for coming on, Kendra. I know originally when
No
I asked
problem.
you to be our tech person, you said yes, but I don't want to talk. And in the back of my head, I said, we'll see. And then 10 episodes later, here you are.
I know, even when you texted me, I think I was driving and I was like, I don't think I want to answer that right now. And then I was like,
no.
well, what am I? I was like, what am I going to do? Say no. Like,
Well,
yeah, okay.
No. I would have just
No,
asked
I
you
wasn't
again
gonna
in
do
6
that.
more months.
I know. That's why I said yes.
Yeah.
We're very glad you said yes, because you knocked this out of the park as far as sharing your story and your experience and background, especially over the last 5 years of where things were 5 years ago and how things progressed and where you guys are now. You guys are goal setting and you're goal crushing and you're just on the upward rise. And we really enjoy seeing it, and it inspires us. And I'm certain that after people hear this, it's going to inspire others as well. So we really appreciate that you accepted Allie's offer of coming on to talk.
She knows I can be very annoyingly persistent. So,
well, in my head, I was like, okay, well, this is going to happen now, or it's going to happen later. So let's
now it's over.
Do it. And again, and it's one of those, like, I mean, it wasn't really that awkward, but it is one of those awkward things where if you're not used to podcasting or being on the front side of the podcast, I should say, it's again pushing out of your comfort zone, right? So, and I can't support our podcast and then not follow through. So
exactly.
I love
Way
it.
to go.
I love it. Rose out of your comfort zone. Yeah, perfect.
It's great.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. We'll see you again soon.
We'll talk to everyone soon.
Right.
Have a good night and keep moving forward.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you.